ever wondered, why can't I seem to find a good man? I mean, why is dating so hard these days? How do I get past all the noise and find the partner that I have always dreamed of? Well, according to a researcher called Homans, he stated that how we feel about somebody is based on profit. I know, I'm going to explain. He said that if the relationship gives us more happiness than stress, we will see the relationship as valuable. So the more rewards we get in a relationship, like love, support, and safety, the fewer problems we face, like arguments, feeling unimportant and drained, and the more we want to spend time with that person. He was actually referring to something called the social exchange theory. What if I told you that finding the right partner isn't as hard as you think? In fact, I just helped one of my clients, Faith. Now, Faith is an amazing pediatrician. She has the ability to help vulnerable sick children feel better. The challenge Faith was facing was she couldn't seem to match with the right guy. She told me she did everything right. She went to school. She got the degree. She has no kids. She is a good church-going girl. She just kept wondering, what am I doing wrong? Today, I'm going to share the exact strategy that I shared with Faith to help her not only match with, but connect with an amazing guy. This strategy is called the balance. What's the balance? I'm glad you asked. Finding the one isn't just about dating. It's about finding the balance between what you give and what you get. Now, sometimes we find ourselves feeling exhausted, unfulfilled, maybe lonely on this journey to find the one, because what we're giving, it doesn't match up with what we're getting in return. See, at that point, the attraction goes through the window and we are back to the beginning. I will be the first one to say that my dating journey has not been the smoothest. I was constantly unhappy, unfulfilled. I was always ending up in situations where I was undervalued, underappreciated, and constantly feeling unloved. It became so hard to see my future or the relationship of my dreams when I was standing in a dark tunnel that was clouded with manipulation and lies and cheating. We fall into the trap of believing that someone will automatically see our value our loyalty, and be loyal to their commitment in return. Then we end up feeling like we're stuck giving out free samples at Costco. How different would your life be like if you only went on dates with great men who matched your emotional needs, your relationship values, and honored your boundaries? What would that change for you? See that Rachel? She didn't know that she didn't have to entertain or have conversation with guys that were not even heading in the same direction. When it came to relationships, that Rachel was reeking of desperation. She needed to be liked more than she needed to find the one. I had to learn why I was so unfulfilled in relationships. I had to learn that I'm not difficult to love. No, I am serving a high-end steak to a vegan. I was my first real friend. I was my first confidant, and I was my first support system. Finding the balance is not only about give and take. It's about knowing if you're even going in the same direction when it comes to relationships. Do both of you want the same thing out of the relationship? Finding the balance is about finding out who to get to know and who to move on from. Now, Why is finding the balance the key to help you attract and maintain the relationship of your dreams? I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but love is never enough. No, it's not. We all have needs that matter. For some of us, it's monogamy. For some, it's transparency. For someone else, it's loyalty. And sadly, those things do not mean the same thing to all of us. Before I fell in love with trust-based relationships, before I came to understand why after that lust phase of a relationship, I didn't even want to be in the same room as a person I thought I was deeply in love with. I thought I was broken. I thought I was asking too much. And I thought, maybe it's true, I am difficult to love. I had to learn that the foundation of a healthy relationship was missing from the very beginning. I had to learn that the reason why I grew out of love with that person is that over time, I realized that we're not headed in the same direction. We don't want the same thing out of the relationship. I was my first confidant. I was my first strategist. And I was my first coach. Finding the balance works exceptionally well because it's built around the things it takes to build and maintain the relationship of your dreams from the very beginning. You get to sneak past all the manipulation, all the lies, all the cheating, and all the other toxic stuff. You sneak past the disappointment, constantly feeling drained, the compromising too much, and you are getting to the meat and potatoes before you get emotionally invested or attached. Before I learned how to find the balance and how it works, I would wake up 2 years into the wrong relationship asking myself, how could I have been so stupid? How could I have wasted so much time with the wrong person? We fall into the habit of running on autopilot because we're just in the lust phase, the attention phase. Have you ever wondered, what did I ever see in that person? How were we ever together? Were we even friends to begin with? See, that Rachel didn't have enough love for herself. She didn't even love herself enough to double check to see if that person wanted the same thing out of a relationship that she did. That Rachel, she fell for every lie, every manipulation. I had to learn what not knowing what I wanted out of a relationship or how to get it was causing me more harm than good. I was my first safety officer. I was my first friend, and I was my first sanctuary. For many of us, this might be exactly what you need to find the one, but not all of us. There are a few of us that just need that extra support, that extra push. Attached to this video is a link where you can get a free coaching session. But for now, let's get back to talking about how to use the balance to find the one. There are exactly 3 steps through which the balance can be used to not only attract, but sustain the relationship of your dreams. Step 1, what you allow is your vow. I'm going to say that again. What you allow is your vow. Identify your non-negotiables. Is it honesty? Is it monogamy? What is it that you need out of a relationship for it to qualify as a safe space or as a safe relationship? And this cannot happen effortlessly. If you are not clear on the difference between what is nice to have and what is a need to have, because wants are nice to have. Non-negotiables, on the other hand, are a need to have. I'll be the first one to say that this step was the hardest for me. It took getting tired of the cheating, of the lying, of the manipulation, to take the time to figure out what my non-negotiables were. I had to learn the hard way that manipulation, lies, and cheating did not just happen. They are a manifestation of the fact that I did not have good non-negotiables. I wasn't clear on them. I had to be my first place of safety. I had to be my first sanctuary, and I had to be my first friend. What we allow in a relationship is our vow. What you allow in a relationship is your vow. Step 2, walls too thin let liars in. Use the values and non-negotiables to set strong boundaries and communicate these boundaries earlier in the relationship. If you continue your journey with me, you'll hear me teach about the anatomy of a boundary at length. But here's a quick summary. If the walls protecting your non-negotiables are too thin, they can easily be run over by liars, cheaters, and manipulators. Before I took this time to study why I was always in a toxic relationship, why I was always unhappy, why I was always frustrated, why I was always depressed, I wondered to myself, am I good enough for a good relationship? Wait, I think I'm a good person. I do. But why does this keep happening? We fall into the belief system that we're powerless to love bombing, to manipulation, and to lies. But how different would your world be if you never had to worry about being cheated on, lied to, or manipulated? Step 3, if your needs are ignored, close the door. Let me say that again for the girl in the back of the room. If your needs are ignored, close the door. Sometimes we forget that these needs are important to us. When we compromise our values, it can lead to unhappiness and resentment down the road. If you continue on the journey with me, you hear me talk a lot about the place of safety. If you continue the journey with us, you'll hear me say that if you're not in a place of safety, it's hard to be present during conflict resolution, or what I like to call repair. We will be covering repair at length in another video. But before, as a coach, before I took the time to study what's the difference between a healthy relationship and a toxic one, I expected that healthy relationships would be conflict-free. I literally thought that healthy relationships, they don't have miscommunications, they don't have to worry about upsets, they don't have to worry about mishearing anything, they don't have to worry about family drama. We fall into the belief system that our needs are not important, that emotional availability, that communication, that trust, that loyalty that you require is asking for too much. Have you ever wondered, wait, why am I so unhappy in this relationship? Or better yet, why am I happier or at peace without this person in my life? That Rachel in the past, she did not understand that every time she compromised on her non-negotiable in a relationship, she sentenced that relationship to death. That Rachel didn't understand the difference between comfort and compatibility. I had to learn that in order to set myself up for success in every relationship, I need to make sure that we value the same things in a relationship. I had to learn that my ability to be vulnerable is a strength, not a weakness. No. I was my first communication coach. I was my first sanctuary, and I was definitely my first friend. When somebody takes the time to show you that your non-negotiables are a joke, believe them. If your needs are ignored, close the door. If this video has been helpful to you, subscribe for more. I'm Coach Rachel, and I can't wait to connect with you again.